And a good morning to you and welcome to Breakfast Extra for a Sunday. Now, this is the very first weekend edition for 2026. And as we step into our second show for the year, the new year, we do so with hope and, of course, with grace. But we also have to be very realistic about the issues that we are facing, even in 2026. These challenges are real and they affect us all. And let's be honest, things don't just go from bad to good overnight. So one New Year's doesn't just change everything. In many ways, 2026 carries some of the same baggages we brought from 2025 with us. But before we go any further, I'd like to tell you guys a story. Let me tell you a story that begins not with tragedy, but with promise. A story of a country that once stood tall, that once had the world looking our way because we seemed to be all that and a bag of chips. Well, in 1970s, Nigeria had wealth as few countries could imagine. Oil was flowing, money was flowing. We had the highways that connected cities and towns, roads that carried ambition and hope. Our GDP was enviable. Compared with countries like South Korea and even China, we were peers. Yeah, we were peers with China. We had everything going for us, everything, amenities, policies, we were on a roll. And then came the 1980s and reality hit. Oil prices fell, dependency on one single resource revealed how fragile we were as a country. Our policies shifted, corruption seeped in, maintenance stopped, roads crumbled, bridges weakened, and the services meant to protect us, the system's ordinary people in developed countries, began to disappear. Roads, hospitals, and basic services, providers, everything just began to disappear. Ambulances became a rarity. Trained responders became a dream. The lifelines we needed to save lives when accidents happened began to vanish. Slowly at first, and then, all at once, it all went. We watched as our peers, countries that had been just like us, sprinted ahead. South Korea invested in industries, infrastructure, education, and emergency services. China, well, they built highways, they built hospitals, entire networks that could save lives even before they were at risk. In Germany, roads are open for emergency responders to pass quickly in times of need, an orientation that's been worked into the public psyche because the system is available and it works. But in Nigeria, we stood still. We spent, we consumed. We didn't just consume, we chopped. We pretended to be strong, and beneath the surface, our systems were hollowing out. Roads decayed. Institutions hobbled on one leg for so long, and then they too decayed. In fact, last week, on December 29th, 2025, that hollowing out was exposed for the world to see. Anthony Joshua, world-renowned boxer, a man who can take punches from the hardest hitters on the planet, was traveling on the Ibadan Expressway. His vehicle lost control, lives were lost, but he survived. And here comes the part that should shake us awake. Anthony Joshua, injured on our Nigerian roads, had to be rescued not by an ambulance, but by a police vehicle. No paramedics, no trained emergency response, just police car and local help. So think about that for a second. A nation that once promised greatness shows the world its weakness in one single moment. One single moment. The roads that should save lives, well, they failed. The emergency system that should be ready, well, they're absent. And while we parade wealth in buildings and glossy media reports, the truth is broken along our very highways. The tragedy of the past week is not just a story of one road crash. It's a mirror. It's a very interesting mirror that reflects decades of neglects, of choices we made and failed to undo. This is what the consequence of forgetting looks like. This is what happens when accountability is optional. We allow negligence to grow unchecked, and then we act surprised when it claims lives that could have been saved. We have built a nation that looks wealthy to outsiders, yet it struggles to protect even a single person on a major highway. And so, as we are left with no other choice, we have just one. We can look away and pretend that a police vehicle rescuing a global icon is normal, or, Nigerians, we can open our eyes and see the truth, that we owe ourselves better. We must demand accountability from those in public office. And even after people say, oh, is the government this? What about you? What are you doing? Who have you held accountable in the past 2.5 years? That we must do. And we must also invest in infrastructure, in emergency services, in the lives of every Nigerian who steps on those roads. Nigeria it's not just a wake-up call for you. This is a plea. We're begging. Until we stop polishing the surface and start fixing the bones, until we hold those entrusted with our lives accountable, we will continue to present to the rest of the world the illusion of affluence while living in the decay of neglect. We'll continue to be third class in every respect, every manner, no matter what. But we can do better. We, in fact, must do better, and we owe it to every citizen, every family, every person who travels that highway. And in fact, most of all, we owe it to ourselves.